Hello everyone, it's me Antonio back with another video today. Should I say this evening? It's just after sundown here in Florida, daylight savings and all that interesting razzle dazzle going on with the solar system and whatnot. Let's try not to get too complicated in this video today. A few months back I started doing more videos on my YouTube channel, and I did upload a video titled "Who Am I?", which kind of explains a little bit of who I am and what I want to try to accomplish with my YouTube channel, what I believe my life purpose is after 33 years of living. But so again, my name is Antonio. Just past my Jesus years. Jesus died at 33. My birthday recently passed. Interestingly enough, right on that day, I went through some of the craziest things I've been through all year, if you want to believe that, on top of going through my dark night and my spiritual expansion. And I just wanted to give you a little bit more information about who I am, a little bit more background on who I am. So, everyone goes through certain things. We can all relate on, different topics and subjects and things. And, it helps with oneness and singularity. It helps us expand ideas. It helps us get past the labels and things like that and see people for who they really are. So again, who am I? It's a complicated question, but I was born here in South Florida to a mom of 16 years old of age. Born in the slums, of course, with the whole thing that's been going on over the past 100 years, the Industrial Revolution and the government expanding, their territories and their highways into different cities and things like that, different towns and communities. Of course, they built the highways through Miami, and Overtown was affected heavily. Miami overall was affected heavily with the transportation, and came drugs and things like that. So I'm not foreign to being 4 or 5 years old playing outside with needles everywhere and baggies, weed bags everywhere and things like that. So this was back when food stamps was actually paper currency. It's on card now, but we actually had paper currency food stamps back in the days, or government assistance. That's how we lived. There's a lot that can be taken just from that statement alone. Going from house to house, not really having a stable environment. Of course, my mom being young and not being able to really focus on, raising a child is difficult, I guess, at a young age. I had my kids at 28, and it was interesting. I'm glad I didn't have my kids at 18. I could have waited a little bit longer, but I felt that it was going to be a good idea to probably have kids. I had a fear of death. Going into my next topic, when I kind of tell you a little bit about my childhood, being a young man, living in Miami-Dade County. I was 1.5, 2 years old, climbing upstairs to the Candy Lady's house to get a piece of chocolate and things like that, and all types of crazy things. With my mom going to sleep and using the scissors to cut her hair off and things like that. I'm no foreigner to behind whoopings. Pain and embarrassment are two of the greatest teachers. But yeah, man, being 3-4 years old, trying to cross an international highway and things like that. I don't know if spirit was guiding me at that point, but I didn't really get in trouble, of course, or get hurt, but I got in trouble. Took me home. Mom's like, "What the heck? Why are you crossing this major highway? All right, cousin. Yeah, I know. And just a lot of interesting things happening throughout my childhood. It's interesting because when I look back on my childhood, it almost feels like I was kind of guided by a spirit, or guided by these different situations and circumstances that happened to me. Like, I was born with my arm burst open. I believe the story is that my mom fell at some point during a pregnancy, but you never know where these things come from. I was born with my arm burst open. It was just a scar on my entire left arm, and it's funny because I've completely forgotten about it. I've had to live with it for a long time. It was a big, gigantic scar. Now it's almost gone. It's like completely disappeared. Things like that. Being born with my arm burst open. Being 5 years old, waking up in the middle of the day thirsty, going into the kitchen and accidentally drinking a glass of acid, being rushed to the hospital with my mouth glued open, and the doctors having to peel my mouth open with milk and a popsicle stick. Things like being 6, 7 years old, being involved in your first car crash and coming out of it with no scars at all. It's just a lot. But these are life experiences. They build character and they change you to the person that you want to be today. So I want to kind of move into more positive things. Going into school, kindergarten, first, second grade, things like that. Age 7, 6, 7, 8. Learning or excelling at reading and writing and a lot of things, trying to go into my second language, because after all, this is South Florida or America. My parents didn't name me Antonio for no reason. So I began to learn to cultivate, a second language, which would be Spanish, Española. So that was a good thing, being promoted to these interesting classes where they would put multiple grades in one class. Like I would remember being in second grade, but being in a class with 4th and 5th graders, and then even next school year, being a 3rd grader, being in a class with 4th and 5th graders again. It was just, I don't know, it was, excelling in after school programs, leading the school in math bowls and spelling bees and things like that, principal's honor roll. I'm not sure if these are things that people aspire to be, but it was just second nature to me. Again, my teacher gave us 10, 20 definitions a day, made us look up these definitions in dictionary. We participated in class. I was not like a crazy, outlandish, bad student or anything like that. So, interesting times, going into middle school, and you hear things. You always hear a lot about when you transition. Like when you go to middle school, you hear people talk about middle school being so bad and dangerous. Or even when you go to high school, people talk about how high school is so bad or dangerous. But it is what it is, man. It's not that serious. People just be on some other stuff. If you expect negative things, you're gonna draw negative things to you. Hence the law of attraction. So you want to be careful with stuff like that. But yeah, man, high school was cool. I had maybe one love relationship. I didn't really focus too much on anything other than, I played cards back then. Played video games back then. Hence why now, I'm able to practice the art of tarot and things like that. There was a well-developed childhood. I experienced both good and bad things. So I was a well-rounded person. Even though I had nothing, I had friends that also had nothing. But I had friends that had something, and they shared, whether they was from a different culture or what, they shared. And I never took that for granted. Then I got older. Of course, 16 years old. Mom waking me up at 4 in the morning, crying, telling me that you know, she doesn't want me to talk back to her and things like that, and she's doing the best that she can and all these other things. But I'm looking at it from a different lens, can't really judge people, it is what it is. Ended up leaving mom's house at 19. And it's interesting, I had a liver transplant right before I graduated high school. Some people don't know, some people do know. And it was an interesting experience. I was literally knocking at death's door. I spent an entire summer in pain. Always had yellow eyes and things like that. And then the first day of my senior year, I took one step out of my door and I couldn't take another step. I called my mom and told her to take me to the hospital. And my mom knows that, dudes don't go to the hospital like that. But so my mom, she took me to the hospital. I was kind of fast-tracked because of the noise. But, about 2 months of picking and poking and testing and slicing and dicing my entire body to figure out what was going on with me. So finally, they told me that I needed to have a liver transplant. Things they told my mom, like, your son has less than 2 months to live, and if we put him on the donors list, he's most likely gonna die. They have millionaires and billionaires on donors lists that can't get an organ. So it was just an interesting thing. I had various interviews done on me, and they even streamed some of these interviews overseas. Just explaining my situation. 17-year-old young black male going into 18, and it's like the perfect experiment, I guess. But they tried out new forms of medicines on me as well. Of course, I had to sign off on these things. But I underwent surgery. I remember right before I underwent surgery, before they shot the anesthesia into my my IV. I saw one of my cousins. He's so funny. He's like, I prayed with his mom, who was my aunt. She came and prayed over me, and I had people come through, And he was like, man, as soon as you wake up, tell him you want some ice cream. I'm like, I don't know if I'm gonna wake up, cuz. But yeah, man. Apparently, it's like a 12+ hour surgery, and months later, it come to find out it was like the perfect surgery. And after coming out of surgery, I wasn't really conscious. Of course, I had a lot of drugs in me. My body split wide open. I'm looking like RoboCop, after he got blew up. But tubes and cords and everything sticking in and out of my body and my neck, and just a whole lot of interesting things. I would have hated to look at myself in the mirror at that point. But it wasn't even about me. I remember waking up in this immense pain, knowing the ordeal that I just went through. But I'm 17 years old, which I'm still considered a minor at that age. So I'm in the ICU. And I'm in ICU. It's the children's ICU. And all I see is children. And all I see is children. Some of them have cancer. They don't know that they're never going to make it. 3 or 4-year-olds, 2-year-olds with broken necks, 5-year-olds with their chests cracked open because they had to have heart surgery.
Yo.
What's up?
Hey, bro, I get a raw real quick.
It's in my drawer.
Sure.
These children, they didn't even do anything wrong. These children did not get a chance to experience life. That's not right. That's not right. So, it's like the good die young. It's like you can come into this world a clean slate. And you can have shitty things happen to you. So it doesn't matter about how much good or bad you do in this world. There's too much going on in this world, and people are not taking the time to be grateful, to show gratitude in everything you do. Say please and thank you, and help people.